What is down, everybody? It's your main course, Little Pancake. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the Saiga Antelope. Antelope, not a cantaloupe. They're very different. Cantaloupes and antelopes are not the same, believe it or not. Took me a while to figure that out too, I'm going to be honest. Today, we are going to talk about its physical appearance, its diet and habitat and range, its reproductive habits, its history, and the endangerment of it. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is endangered and it needs our help. We're the only ones that can save it. Me and you, and probably some other people too, but we'll get into that later. We're starting off with the physical appearance. What are you going to look for when you go searching for the Saiga antelope? It's not that large of an antelope, about the size of a medium-sized deer, like a white-tailed deer here in the Americas, North America. You're looking at 24 to 32 inches tall at the shoulder, so it's not including neck and head, but to the shoulder, 24 to 32 inches, which is not that tall. It's not even 3 feet. You're looking at 57 to 152 pounds, that's kind of where I got the estimate of the deer. You know, an average sized deer runs around 100 pounds, I'd say. They can get a lot bigger. They can get up to 200 pounds easy, but your average deer is running 100 to 150 pounds, I'd say. Lengthwise, you're looking 39 to 55 inches. So, yay long. Not a large animal by any means, but not a tiny fella, you know. He's adequately sized, I'd say. Now, the first thing you notice when you look at this little fella is probably its obscure nose area. It just looks different. Its nostrils are bloated, is the word that is used. Close together bloated nostrils that face down is the phrase used to describe their nostrils typically. Now, you're probably wondering why? Why did natural selection choose these nostrils? What was the point? What's the cut of the jib of Mother Nature on this one? It's not to drink water. All right, that's what a lot of people used to think it was. A lot of people used to, and I'm talking like a long, long time ago, people used to think that they used their noses to drink water because it looks like a perfectly large straw, you know? It looks pretty good for a large straw, you know? They're actually used to filter dust, so they run in very large herds, which we will get to in a little bit in the diet habitat section of this video. They run in large herds that kick up a lot of dust. You know, if you're running around, if it's dry, hasn't had any rain in a little while, you're on some dirt patches, you're kicking up a lot of dust. And those large noses help filter out dust. I mean, the same way that our noses do, but better because there's more area, you know, there's more volume. Their noses speak volumes in dust filtration. They also are used to cool their blood in the summer. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. Don't really know how. Okay, nothing I found really went in depth in that. And it's just kind of like said that it's just to cool their blood, which I'm guessing, like, because the nose has a lot of surface area that the air can circulate in there a little bit. And then in the winter, it supposedly helps to heat the air before it enters the lungs. If you've ever ran in the cold, like you got gym class in January and you got to run the mile, you know, and it's 12 degrees outside, your lungs start to burn, right? And I'm not positive on this. There's a lot of maybes in this video, but I'm pretty sure that that's because of the cold air entering your lungs, and it's kind of like, ooh, you know, kind of chilly on the folds in your spongy tissue that we call a lung. With that large nose, it can kind of circulate it and warm it up a little bit before it enters the lung, which is nice. As for physical markings, they got dark markings on their cheeks. Insert picture here. Look at that dark marking. Isn't that cool? As for the ears, they got pretty large ears, but they're not overcompensating, you know, 3 to 4 inches. A solid size overall. A little large, maybe, even, you know. So, as for their fur, their coat, in the summer months, it's a little like yellowish red, almost a brown, but like a light brown per se. And then once you get into the winter, it turns into a light gray, almost whitish, brownish type of color. And this is due to probably a calamity of factors, but the one of the more obvious ones is camouflage. You see this in things like snow hares, right? Like the rabbits, they change fur color to a white in the winter and a browner color in the summer. Same with some foxes, and also some different stuff with like heat absorption, I think, but that's not that important. They can also grow a mane, which is kind of wild. I'm gonna try to find a picture of that. They can grow a mane in the winter, which is mostly just for warmth, and they can get up to 6 inches long, which is really long. As for the horns, that's probably another thing that you noticed right off the rip. Only the males have horns. A lot of people think that that's a common factor about any animal with horns, is that it's just the males. That's not true at all. Horns and antlers, a lot of different species have both genders have antlers or horns. Like just a few off the rip, like reindeer, caribou, they have males and females grow antlers. That's just one off the dome that I know because I'm a genius. The horns are kind of a waxy coloration, and they have 12 to 20 rings exactly. If it's got 21, it's an imposter. And they can grow up to 15 inches in length, which is really long considering that like almost half of their body height to the shoulder, like that's about the size of one of their legs. Like that's pretty impressive. They also have a lifespan of 10 to 12 years, which is a solid lifespan, if you ask me. I mean, it's long enough to kind of enjoy some life, kind of find the good things in life, have some fun. It's not long enough to like understand geopolitical spheres or the greed of humanity or, just the inherent evil in every man. But, now let's move on to the diet and habitat of the Saiga antelope. Antelope. In the modern era of right now, they are pretty much only found in parts of Russia, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia. Sometimes they bleed over into other countries because of their migration routes, but not really, not really. As I mentioned previously, they live in very large herds, and when I say very large, I mean very large. I mean, you're probably thinking, oh, maybe like max 100. No. We're living in herds up to 1,000 individuals. Now that's a lot. That's a lot of names to remember. Like as a Saiga antelope, you expect me to like, because I mean a herd is kind of like a family. They're like a little community. Everybody knows everybody, right? Dude, I struggle enough remembering like 30 people's names. I don't even know the names of the people in my chemistry lab, and there's only 4 of us. Saiga brain built different, I guess. As for the food, as for their palates, very refined palates. They eat grass. They also eat some wild onions, which I've been known to do myself. I mean, that's just free food. The wild onion on a sidewalk. Shoot, don't mind if I do. They also eat steppe lichens and shrubs. And some of the plants that they eat are actually poisonous to most animals, but like I said, the Saiga they're a different breed. They're built different, and they are menaces. Menaces. Plural of menace. As for who eats the Saiga, humans, but we'll get into that later. Not anymore. You're not supposed to anymore. But so some of their top predators are wolves, foxes, and wild dogs, and I guess domesticated dogs too could chow down on a Saiga every now and then. The wolves are the main predators for the adult Saiga. Foxes and dogs are much more for the adolescent Saiga, and then an interesting predator for the newborns is eagles, birds of prey. Now, I don't know about you, But if I saw an eagle just swoop down and pick up a small deer and fly off with it, I'm losing it, I think. I think that would be the last straw in my mental stability. Okay, so that's pretty much all we got for modern day diet and habitats. Let's move on to reproductive habits. This is interesting. This right here, this is interesting. I like this. Mating season starts in November. The reason that it starts in November is mostly because gestation lasts for about 150 days. And if you do the math, which I know, some of you may not be math experts like me, but that comes out to the birthing of the calves is in spring. That's why mating season is in November, so that the babies are born in spring and they don't have to survive the winter when they're real tiny. But in November, when the mating season starts, males fight for mating rights, which this is pretty common among a lot of different species, even humans, if you look at it from a certain point of view. The thing that's odd about this is the males fight for the mating rights, and the winner gets an entire herd of females, and we're talking 5 to 50, which 50 females, that sounds like too much, dude. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, 5 sounds like too much to me. Once again, you gotta remember all those names, and trust me, you have to remember those names. If you mess up one of those names during the mating season, shoo, buddy, that's not going to be good for you, dog. That's not going to be good for you, dog. As I said, the calves are born in spring, and a lot of females typically come together during the springtime birthing season and have kind of like a mass birth where they all just pop out some babies, which sounds horrible. The amount of screaming and whatever noise these antelope make would probably be a nightmare. To make it even worse, the females typically give birth to twins. No thanks. Quick turnaround time for the females. They reach sexual maturity in less than a year, which is pretty wild. That's some snappy stuff there. The males take a little bit longer, which checks out. It takes them about 2 years. Now, let's get into the past of the Saiga antelope, which is actually quite interesting. You wouldn't think that an antelope would have such a rich history, but it's actually pretty cool. So, during antiquity, which that's a big word, I know. People that are geniuses like me know what it means, but you might not. I understand that. I acknowledge that. So, antiquity just means ancient times. I had to look it up too. So that's just a long time ago. But during this time, the Saiga antelope actually inhabited the majority of the Eurasian steppe, which is this. That's a lot of area. It's predicted that the largest kind of range east to west was England to Alaska, which Alaska is so far east that it's west. That's pretty cool. And now they live in 3 countries. So, a little bit of a downfall. They are the sole living member of the genus Saiga. There are 2 subspecies, the Russian Saiga and the Mongolian Saiga. Pretty much the Mongolian Saiga is a little bit smaller. Pretty much Mongolian Saiga stays in Mongolia and is a little smaller. And the Russian Saiga kind of works between Russia and Kazakhstan. Their closest living relatives are the springbok and the gerenuk. Not sure why I put that in the history section, to be honest. The fossil of a Saiga has been found dating as far back as 100,000 years, which is, check my watch, a long time ago. From these fossils, you kind of can create what the Saiga looked like back then, and it has not changed much at all. Yeah, the morphology of the Saiga has not really changed at all. And also, something cool is that cave paintings have been found of Saiga, dating as far back as the 5th century BC, that's the Saiga history. Pretty rich, pretty extensive history, actually. Pretty cool. They had quite the downfall, and that's what we're going to talk about now. It's the endangerment of this species. So they are critically endangered, which is not good. So this is kind of, there's a lot of information here about the endangerment, so it's going to be a little like shing ping ping. Yeah, let's start with the reason why they have been kind of hunted by humans and hurt a lot. And it's mostly because of their horns. Chinese medicine uses Saiga horn for something. I don't, you know how Chinese medicine is. It's a little wonky. In the kind of like late 18th century, mid 19th century, the price of Saiga horn went up, right? You're looking at $150 per horn. They could also be eaten. They were described as tasting like lamb, which I'm not a big fan of lamb. Fun fact. Don't really like lamb or goat. So like gyros or hyros or heroes or however you want to say them, not my thing. And the skin was also used to make suede, which is great for Elvis Presley, not so great for the Saiga antelope. So that's why they were hunted and killed in the masses by humans. So the population in Kazakhstan was very high before like the mid 19th century. I didn't see this anywhere, but I think part of that is because of how quickly they were hunted to extinction in China. And then once they were gone in China, you kind of had to up the price because they're imported, you know. So Kazakhstan population is coming back a little bit, but it's nowhere near what it was. And something very, very interesting is the USSR, right? It's what Russia was before it fell and turned into Russia. So they were almost completely extinct in the USSR by 1930. Like they were struggling. And by 1950, so 2 million were found. So they had like a comeback. 2 million were found. They were like, "Oh, they're back. Let's go. We've got some herds. We're doing great." And then the USSR fell, which was not good for the Saiga. Maybe it was good for the Russian people, but not for the Saiga, because the USSR had some regulations. You know, you can kill them all just willy nilly, and the USSR fell. Who's gonna keep up the laws? Who's gonna enforce the regulations? So humans, being humans, went wild and almost wiped them out again. Now, something interesting, a little comical, not really, but a little bit, is so the World Wildlife Fund is a wildlife organization very big on endangered species. They're still around today. They've been around for a long time. So at one point, they were actually encouraging the hunting of Saiga, which is just mind-boggling to me. They had a reason. So they were promoting the hunting and killing of Saiga because their horns were alternatives to rhinoceros horn. And, that didn't work out very well because both species are struggling. As of right now, there's roughly 1.32 million Saiga left. And it's still Saiga hunting and poaching is still a problem. In 2014, Chinese officials uncovered 2,351 Saiga horns at the border. All these horns put together is worth about $11 million, which is wild. But what's even more wild is that it's an odd number of horns. There's a Saiga somewhere with one horn. I don't know how he managed to escape with only one horn going missing. I don't know how any of that happened, but he's probably getting made fun of right now for being a one-horn Saiga. So another way that the humans have been indirectly hurting the Saiga is with their habitat. Humans build cities and railroads and farms. There have been multiple cases where a herd of Saiga has been trapped in a fenced-in area and just starved to death. You think you have 1,000 antelope fenced into an area, it's not going to take long for them to eat that area's food source. And if they can't go anywhere, they die. Another way that they've been impacted is by the changing climates. it really hurts the Saiga because they don't do well in the very cold, like super chilly, put on a jacket type cold. Whenever there's a month of severe cold weather, there are usually mass die-offs of Saiga. And then in the springtime, with warmer weather and more rain, you have floods. And springtime floods are actually really bad for Saiga because it drowns a lot of calves. Something really kind of wild is that they had a mass die-off in 2015 to 2016 years. In May of 2015, 120,000 died, which when you only got 1.32 million, that's not good. That's not good. Once a herd became infected with this mysterious thing, it was 100% fatality, 100% mortality rate. Everybody in the herd died once they got infected. And so it took them a long time to figure out what was causing these die-offs, but they found out that it was a bacteria. I'm going to butcher the name, but Pastorella multocida was the bacteria that was causing this, and it's usually harmless. It's found in Saiga pretty much always, and it's usually harmless. The kind of hypothesis is that they had an unusually warm and wet climate that year, and it caused the bacteria to enter the bloodstream, which is not good, apparently. That's another reason why they've been struggling, but that's pretty much all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. In the description, I'll have all the sources that I used to collect this information, and I also have a website linked that is a Saiga conservation website that you can like donate to or whatever, or just learn more about the Saiga stuff. It looked pretty legit to me in the few minutes that I looked around it. If you feel compelled, I might as well give you a source. So there's that. Or you can just click on it to look at some pictures of Saiga. They got a lot of pictures on that website. So that's all I got for you today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Saiga antelope. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash like and subscribe. We're almost to 500 subs, which would be pretty cool. We're almost there. We're pretty close. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Make someone else's day better if you can. And yeah, I'll see all y'all later.